Mechanical ban Yasuo and Kiana. Given that they're on the blue side, when they played up against G2 last week, they often banned the Sylas when they were on the blue side, which means that they can priority pick the Akali, and again, G2 will not have an answer.
But here's the thing, G2 are now kind of strong where they need to pick or ban to the Yuumi, where normally Fnatic was the team that was banning that. So normally it's Aatrox, Twisted Fate, and Rakan. Now with G2 banning Yuumi and TF, one of those picks is going to fall through the cracks.
And it also means Fnatic open up another ban for themselves. They'll get rid of the Rakan, which now means we're looking at Akali, Sylas, and Aatrox as those three power picks.
This to me suggests that Fnatic once again are looking to first pick the Akali, because they're fine with G2 answering with the Sylas, because the analyst has talked a lot about it. It feels like Caps is not winning this 1v1. They are not shutting him down, which means that there's no reason not to keep putting Nemesis on a champion that he consistently has success.
And that was the call. Do you ban the Akali or do you ban the Aatrox? And it's Whippo who loses out on his pick, but that means that, like you said, Nemesis gets that matchup that he has just been so comfortable on for all of this series.
Sylas locked in alongside the Akali that we talked about. There's the Gragas. Jankos will be getting his hands on him in the jungle. We expect, of course, Mickey has shown it to us in support in the past.
Now, typically, Fnatic will answer with something like a Lee Sin. They may not have to do it right now. They could instead just lock in something like a Kai'Sa or the Xayah that is available to them, and then guarantee themselves a strong AD carry and save support for the second half of the draft.
Or you could look at grabbing more flex picks, trying to hide what you're going to do. That seems to be Fnatic's strategy whenever they do take the blue side.
High priority on the Shen. Of course, this can be flex between support and top lane. We are very aware of this, and we've got to remember that the Akali can be flexed as well between top and mid, so Fnatic actually taking a G2 approach in this style by keeping a lot of flex picks open and not really showing much to G2.
And it's one of the things that we have to compliment both these teams on their ability to do, and why they are kind of head and shoulders above everyone else in the LEC. It is that versatility in so many of your different members that you can mix and match so many of these matchups, carve up exactly what you want, and I can hear it in Athens. That's exactly what I wanted from Broxah. I wanted an aggressive jungler and nothing better than his Lee Sin. A lot of other junglers would take the Olaf into Gragas. Karsa, Broxah is a Lee Sin type of guy.
He definitely is. Had a great performance on the champion yesterday. We'll see if he can match up versus our summer split MVP, who looks to be on the Gragas this game. Now, Thresh locked in for Mickey in the bottom lane. Gives you a bit of aggression in the 2v2, where G2 have struggled in some of these games.
You can see now top lane bans coming out from the side of G2. They want to limit the safe options that Fnatic could go for. Last game, they looked to ban away things like the Gangplank, as we're seeing on screen right now. They also considered the Renekton ban. They may even choose to ban away the Jax as well, if they consider it to be blind pickable on the side of Fnatic.
And ultimately, you could have the last pick for Wonder to get that counter pick, or maybe he double ban, or not going to double ban top side because of the Ezreal, and then pick the top laner right there. But it's about, can you put down Whippo getting out of lane phase? And I think that's what G2 are setting up in their draft phase for Uvedius.
Now, there is a champion that has snuck through most of the pick and ban phases. It's Xayah alongside Karma as well. Now, we saw Fnatic use it incredibly well yesterday. I wonder if perhaps they could put Reckless back on it today.
They could consider doing Karma Pike right now. I think their damage would be a little lacking if they decided to draft like that. So I would expect an AD carry to come out. They could go for the Tristana once again if they wanted to. I think that'd be pretty safe.
I just think
well.
Okay,
we're going to see the Karma.
But I think this means that it should be hilly on Shen, because I agree with you.
Yeah,
I think you're lacking damage if you decide to put...
There we go.
That makes much more sense. You were lacking damage if you decided to put that Shin up into the top lane and then also pull the Karma.
I'm just saying, I take that as a win. I predicted Karma it came out. It doesn't matter where it's going.
It's a good prediction. Definitely a safe one for Fnatic. Of course, Fnatic continue to show their flexibility, because even though G2 now know that the Shen is going bot lane, you don't know where the Karma's going. It can be flexed to both mid and top, and Whippo is more than happy to grab that Akali's one side.
I think you can also argue you're not sure the Shen is going bot lane, because it could be Karma support alongside the Tristana with the Shen going top. A lot of flexibility in this Fnatic draft, and G2 are looking for that counter pick. What does Wonder take with his Kled band away that can impact this game from the top lane? It's Irelia, could still be flexed, but expect this to go into the hands of Wonder.
I am excited for the Irelia. I do think that Akali can actually do quite well into the Irelia, so if Whippo does play it up towards the top side of the map, I think that there is an opportunity for Whippo to gain the advantage, but for now it looks like it will be the Shen. apologies, the Karma, which is a relatively safe lane for the Aurelia to just free farm and potentially set up ganks with Yang.
Yeah, I expect it to be Karma into the Aurelia just because, like you're saying, it's safe. Whippo can now absorb a lot of that attention, and even if Jankos does spend his time with Wonder up into the top side, it's really hard to break Karma. She can just shield, walk up, throw a Q, and then dash away. Whereas if I'm looking at Jankos, kind of the other ways that he can attack the map, he can go for very early ganks to try to get Caps really springboarded into this game, because we have yet to talk about Caps, to see Caps really come alive, or he's got the Thresh Xayah into the bot lane that he can plug into.
And I never thought we'd get to Game 4 without talking about the MVP of MSI. Caps, as you say, really hasn't shown up yet. It hasn't been an awful performance from him, but he hasn't been making those game-changing plays that we see from him so often. With Fnatic on the brink of victory here, G2 have to find a way to fight back. It's 2-1, Fnatic looking for their 8th title, and G2 need to find something special if they're going to stop them in their tracks.
This iteration of G2 is yet to lose a best of 5. They have been pushed to the brink multiple times. SKT did it first, Fnatic did it second, and now Fnatic have the ability to take it away from G2, but G2 never falter, they stand their ground. We go into Game 4, G2 all or nothing.
And what a game it is likely to be. G2 versus Fnatic, two legendary names in European League of Legends, two names that have been around since before I was even casting. These two teams have stamped their place in European history, and today could define the next few years of LEC.
And that's the reminder, is that while everyone wants to see a Game 5, it's always exciting. G2 have yet to take down Fnatic in a finals. The last time they met, Fnatic got the last laugh. They are now set at match point. And if we talk about Jankos plugging into the potential bot lane, maybe getting Caps going, Broxa is on his signature pick of the Lee Sin. Every time he pulls out this champion, you see incredible performances. So my eyes are on the junglers.
Eyes all on the junglers, but where will they be going? You said Jankos could, we talked about Jankos could maybe look towards the mid lane. Where's Broxa looking early on? Who does he want to get ahead?
Well, I would actually rather have Jankos play up towards the top side of the map, because I feel that with Wonder on the Aurelia, he's someone that you want to try and get ahead in the side lane.
Makes sense.
And if you get him in a position of power, it sets you up nicely for these mid-game skirmishes once the training force is completed. Of course, Jankos could look to play around bot lane as well. You do have a lot of setup with the Thresh and the Xayah, but I feel that Jankos actually has a fair number of options. He just has to be careful of the all-in power of a Triss and a Shen.
And again, can you break Whippo on this Karma? Can Whippo actually play weak side if he doesn't get a lot of attention from Broxa?
We will see. Broxa started on the bottom side of the map, went red into Krugs. His bot lane is pushing in at the moment.
Now, I will say that I think Fnatic's comp is a little more suited for team fighting than it was in the last game, largely because Karma is exceptionally strong at providing that heal and safety for Reckless. And when you think about, okay, they don't have a lot of crowd control in this composition, one of the strongest things that Karma provides is a shield into speed up onto a rapid fire cannon Tristana. We saw Splice do this with things like the Caitlyn. Basically, you can run up, crit someone, and then immediately a fight is in your favor. So even though they don't have hard crowd control to actually start a fight off, because of the range advantage that they'll have later into the game, it could be difficult for G2 to force fights unless they can find a good hook off the likes of Mickey.
And if they don't want to team up with Reckless, you could also throw that speed onto Hilly, and it is Hilly's job as kind of the key member with the ability to start fights, because there's not a lot of hard CC or kind of big engage tools that you need to get the Shin in position if Fnatic do think that they have a fight to pull the trigger.
So look at where Jankos is going. He went blue into red into top side, looking for that first gank on Whippo, trying to break this Karma early on. Wonder's had the wave pushed in. And it might just be that Jankos is waiting around to try and defend Wonder from any possible gank out of the Fnatic jungle.
You're looking for the CC lock if Wonder can find the stun into a flash body bop by Jankos, but Broxa sniffs it, and Whippo so far has been playing weak side well. Broxa also covering him, so on this crash, G2 won't be able to get anything from it.
Broxa might be looking to jump in here. It looks like it could be first blood. Wonder caught out. Broxa able to sneak past Jankos.
And a 2v2 kill happens in the bot lane.
Gets the 2v2. Mickey didn't even burn flash.
Fnatic find themselves with a 1k gold lead only 3.5 minutes into the game. beautiful sidestep sneak coming in from Broxah to avoid Jankos' vision and set up the play onto top lane as Reckless and Hylissang punish the bot lane once again.
And we don't get to see, we'll obviously get the replay. I'll hold it though, Nemesis.
Nemesis caught out, Jankos has the flash, but here comes the teleport by Fnatic. They want to keep taking these fights. Grippo coming in just helps out his mid laner survive that gank from Jankos.
But in the top side, and we'll get a look at the bot side, it seems like a misplay from G2's members. The fact that Wunder overextended was then just kind of leashed by the Karma. We now get a look at what happened to Mickey. He still has his flash.
Ooh, but Fnatic hits level 3 first, and they go for the all-in. We talk about how much all-in power this duo has, and you get to see it right there. Beautifully played from Fnatic as they punish a big mistake from Mickey.
And last week we saw Mickey really struggle in the first 3 games versus Fnatic there. That was an unforced error. He shouldn't be in that position. That's a mistake you cannot make at this level of gameplay.
And now G2 trying to answer back. They're looking for a gank in the mid lane. But it just feels like Fnatic are riding so much confidence right now. They're in such a great position, and this gank just seems obvious. Nemesis seems to read it. He had that ward, he spotted out Jankos, and he's not going to fall prey to this.
And it's still always going to be ridiculously hard to force the gank onto Akali, especially when she still has access to her flash.
Definitely is. Nemesis reading the play, able to escape. 5 minutes in, it's a 1.5k lead for Fnatic. This series has been defined a lot by early games, and now
Mickey. They're going to catch Mickey on the rotation.
He's wise enough to use the Scryer's Bloom, but then Sonic Wave connects with the play, who will knock Broxah away, and Mickey showing that he is smart enough to avoid that sort of play.
Yeah, very well played with the play right there to make sure that Fnatic couldn't connect with him.
Now we can see Jankos actually pathing towards the bot side of the map. Broxah just hanging around, again, covering for his laners. We've been seeing this a lot from both junglers throughout the series. Whenever a lane is pushed underneath the tower, junglers are there to offer support. He's now pathing mid along with his support in order, again, to provide some support for mid lane. And it's all about making sure that these laners are getting through the early laning phase unscathed.
Seems to be a lot of respect. Everyone's keeping track about where these supports are roaming. It was Mickey that was almost caught out when he started to rotate back. Wunder again leashed.
But G2 are looking for the fight here. The Vanguard's edge doesn't land. The flash used, as you say. And in the top lane, G2 are ready for the fray. They catch the wave, and Grippo really has no place to go. He uses the shield. Jankos tanking it up, and he will just body bump across. Caps might fall. One more tower shot would be enough, and he survives. And G2 execute the gank perfectly. But here comes Broxah. Flash away from Wunder. Broxah can't find his mark.
And it looked like frame-perfect dive from G2 right there. Excellent tower juggling of the aggro. Jankos started it off. Everyone gets out unscathed.
Grippo doing what he can to get out of that situation, but because he burnt that flash earlier on, he wasn't able to do it. Broxah now setting up the wave to help out his top laner, but also Caps could use his teleport back down towards the mid lane. Now we're having a look back at what happened in the bot lane. Oh, they get the flash out from Reckless as he's playing in the 1 versus 2. A potential play that Jankos could look for later on. But for now, Fnatic still hold the early gold lead.
And when we see G2 succeed, a lot of it, in a lot of games, it's Caps roaming early on, finding ganks like this, being able to get behind towers with Jankos. Here he's got a kill. He's not really having to play the matchup versus Nemesis, just clears the wave and then can look to come into these other lanes.
And that's something that we need to keep our eyes on. How are G2 getting priority in the mid lane to unlock Caps to play the map instead of that matchup? So can he continue to get out into these side lanes, punish some of these missing flashes on the likes of Reckless and Flippo?
Oh. I'm so used to having 7 or 8 kills by this portion in the game, but it looks like this is going to be a slower one once again. Broxah starts up the Cloud Drake, not as impactful early on as something like an Ocean, but G2 don't seem to be reacting with the priority in bot lane. Reckless and Hylissang able to push that wave towards the tower. Nemesis gets the push in mid, and it means it's very safe for Broxah to do this objective.
G2 also aware Nemesis is missing in the mid lane. There is the potential for a dive, so a lot of pings are coming out. Jankos is hanging around this lane as well. The thing that Fnatic have to respect is that Wunder has his teleport available, which means that if they were trying to force something on the bot side of the map, he can quickly join.
Jankos stops Broxah going in, but here comes Nemesis, the flash away onto the blast cone. Nemesis might still look for the chase, the perfect execution, and the perfect kill for Nemesis. He's on the board, 1 kill in this game.
Now the bot lane of G2 looking to collapse. The Lantern is thrown.
Broxah on the wrong side of this, still only level 5, does have the flash. Gonna use the Sonic Wave on towards the tower, flashes away, and Caps isn't gonna chase. Nemesis hooked up by Mickey. Here comes Hillesang though, and Reckless is gonna jump forward, play it away. Perks with the Feather Storm will try and pull him back, but Nemesis flashes towards Wonder, who has joined the fight, and that is Wonder getting the kill, and already Reckless has fallen as well. G2 collapse in their own jungle and find 3 kills.
And what starts off favorably for Fnatic ends in disaster. We talked about how Wonder had the TP advantage, and after Caps was not able to find the execution onto Broxah, they realized, okay, Reckless and Hillesang are committing to this play, so I can commit as well. Wonder finds the flank, they find the kills, G2 back in this game.
Yeah, but now here's a crash. Wonder doesn't have access to Flash, and Broxah is hanging around. I think that this is a little bit auspicious.
Yeah, just a little bit obvious, you have to think. The flawless duet coming out here from Wonder, but Broxah is on the chase. Whipper's going to land the root. Broxah just needs to land the Sonic Wave. Has the Dragon's Rage. Could look for the kick, but they're looking for the tower. Here comes Jankos. He's got the ult, and Broxah tries to kick him away. The barrel doesn't quite connect. Wonder running away from the bottom side of the fight as Whippo steps forward. The barrel knocks him back, and now Wonder's going to jump in. The flawless duet's done. Is on the mark, and G2 find another kill in the top lane.
And it feels like it is Wonder that is pulling G2 back into this game in tandem with Jankos. It was him that made the TP play to help collapse into that jungle, pick up all these kills, and now it's him and Jankos again teaming up and outplaying Fnatic on the top side of the map to pull this gold lead in their favor.
Another Caps roam towards the bot side of the map. Here comes Mickey with the flash. No flash still on Reckless.
We said it before, when Caps is unleashed, when he can get out of that mid lane, G2 come alive. He's 2-0-2 with the Proto Belt already on this Silas.
Which is why I want to kind of put focus back onto this bot lane. One of the reasons why winning the 2v2 bot side is so important is that both of these teams really rely on their supports in their jungle to roam into their lane, to get mid lane priority, to unlock them to roam around. And so,
massive fight in the mid lane as Caps misses the abduct, and here comes the Stand United. Caps not in the best of shapes. The perfect execution doesn't hit, but the taunt does, and Caps is shut down. Fnatic say, we can catch you out in that mid lane.
And it's also the fact that Fnatic had the push. You can see that Perks and Mickey were locked under their tower. They have the easy numbers advantage because you're dealing with Stand United, but there we go. The pushing bot lane got to mid lane, impacted the mid lane priority, and Nemesis now kills Caps with Hilly in tow.
And if we could swap over to the gold, you can see where these disparities are starting to build up and why that was such an important kill for Fnatic. Caps had a pretty decent advantage over his lane counterpart, but after that kill, they've now equalized. Bot is actually slightly ahead in favor of Perks, whereas top is slightly ahead in favor of Whippo because of that Kleptomancy. So Fnatic and G2 staying very even in this early game. Wonder looking for an all-in.
Vanguard's edge did come out. Whippo had to flash. Wonder still has a flash of his own, but at the moment, Wonder's so strong.
The pings did come down onto Broxah in the river, so Wonder chooses not to dive. They're not going to go for this. Instead, they might look for a dive onto bot lane.
Reckless is miles away from this. He's doing the Krugs. The dive shouldn't happen. G2 going to settle for 2 plates. Shouldn't be able to get a third here, although they are chipping away at it, and Reckless just accepting that he cannot stay around if Jankos is in the vicinity.
And G2 really prioritizing their bot lane here. The fact that Jankos is maybe going to take this blast count, but kind of shadowing over Perks and Mickey as opposed to doubling down with Wonder into the top side means that Fnatic did get that Herald.
Look at teleports though. Up for Nemesis, up for Whippo. If G2 overcommit to the bot lane, Fnatic will have a numbers advantage, and I feel like Fnatic know this as Caps and Nemesis go in the 1v1.
Caps steals away the ult. Mickey on his way up. The perfect execution stun will land. Oh, just dodged away there with the Twilight Shroud and the knock. But here goes Nemesis straight onto the backline. The lantern's out. Caps trying to win the 1v1. He does! He takes him out! And now Mickey's there to help out his mid laner. Whippo gonna land the root. The damage coming out onto Mickey, but this is not an AP Karma. This is a tank Karma, so Whippo does not have the burst. Caps and Mickey walk away alive.
Caps finally shows up in this series, and it is the most important time for him to do it. He finds the solo kill onto Nemesis. He gets the much-needed outplay, and now G2 sit with their first gold lead in Game 4.
And this is now bleeding over into other lanes. The cast comes out. Looks like they're going to clear away, but it was Wonder who also got a play up into the top side. Herald goes down. Fnatic are trying to make the trade.
Yeah, Caps staying around will have to walk away from this. The Herald comes out. Going to be at least 4 plates, maybe a little bit more. Jankos is on his way to stop this.
And I like the rotation that's made by Fnatic. They actually have Nemesis TP up to top, and they keep Whippo in mid. This gets them a lot of gold into this mid lane, but now they're looking for a fight.
Mickey flashes in, the hook lands, the play lands. Jankos coming in from the side as well, and Whippo is done for. They greeted with the Herald, and G2 struck.
Beautifully done from G2. They extend the kill score to 7, but the gold remains even. With Nemesis up in the top lane, Wonder has to be very careful about how he plays this 1 versus 1. The Gunblade is now completed for Nemesis, and given that Broxah should be forced back, G2 are using this opportunity to secure the Ocean Drake. Very tense, very close in Game 4 so far.
But whereas Akali is feeling very strong because she has a completed item, again, we now finally have a game where it feels like Caps is part of the conversation on this Sylas. 4-1 and 2, it's going to give Jankos a lot more comfort to move into this jungle, and we're going to keep our eyes on what Sylas and what Akali do and how they impact these team fights or impact the map.
G2 with the slight gold lead, as you say, Vedius, it is incredibly tense between these two teams right now.
And I really want us to keep track of how the gold is going for both these teams, because if we have a look, Perkz, even though the early 2v2 did not go in their favor, actually has a 600 gold lead over the lane counterpart because of the early plays that he was able to pick up off the back of Jankos. Mid lane now in favor of Caps once again up against Nemesis, but top still remains relatively even because Whippo has the Kleptomancy. So G2, even though the early laning phase looked bad initially, they've been able to claw back the gold lead, and now they remain even with Fnatic as we approach the mid-game.
Looking to open up some of these towers. No turrets yet to fall. In terms of items, Nemesis has completed his first. Reckless going for the Infinity Edge first on the Tristana. It's nice form going on Whippo. We talked about him being a tank Karma instead of a full damage Karma here. And across the board on G2, they completed their first item as well.
I think it's really important to have the Iceborne Gauntlet in this type of composition because you can abuse that range advantage that you have with the Tristana and the Karma, especially against the G2 composition. You need something to help stick to them. And I think that's where the utility of Iceborne really comes in.
I also like the adaptation of Wonder. Rather than prioritizing the Trinity Force, he goes for the Ravenous Hydra because this gives him more wave kill, but also lifesteal, so he can make these kind of plays. He can survive through the poke that Whippo tries to throw down onto him, and he's able to come out on top in these trades.
The thing is that it doesn't matter that Jankos takes 2 tower shots, it's just about forcing Whippo off the turret. Wonder will secure it, first tower of the game. Fnatic looking towards the bottom side, making a symmetrical play, but it looks like Jankos and Wonder are still pushing in.
Notice, though, that we see Nemesis actually roam down through the bot side, which actually then gives the Sylas priority in mid. This then gives safety for Jankos on the top side to actually drop some vision in the heart of the jungle, and maybe even set up a dive up with Nemesis.
Don't on the way the ultimate. Nemesis stunned up, but the Stand United comes out, and maybe they're going to turn onto Jankos here. G2 5 men strong in the mid lane. It's only Broxah, Hylissang, and Nemesis for the moment. Reckless not there, has the TP, but they're going to defend the tower. Teleport coming in by Reckless as G2 back away, and Fnatic have been able to defend their mid lane turret.
On a knife's edge, so many skill shots just barely missing, going wide right there. It felt like Fnatic were ready to send Broxah in to look for the fight.
Wonder going in, Reckless will buffer the jump away.
I love that because everyone TP'd to the mid lane, both side lane farms were lost. The bot lane farm all went into the tower, top lane farm all went into the tower as well. Fnatic were committed to keeping that mid tower alive, and G2 were willing to make the sacrifice. So good stuff from both teams.
I think a key difference here, though, is that G2's mid lane tower is so much more fragile. As soon as Reckless gets a single shot onto it, it should just blow over. And then now you're looking at a much more open map. It feels like Fnatic should be mid tower if possible, and then use that pressure to rotate into top tower while respecting the dragon timer, which is why G2 are having to respond by having multiple members in mid lane, never leaving this unattended. But this anchor point can be something that Fnatic play around.
And as we get towards, those mid lane towers falling, the map opening up a little bit, I want to talk about how these first 70 minutes will affect the rest of the game. Like, with these people in these positions, with these players as fed as they are, how do we expect the next 10 to 15 minutes to play out?
Well, I think Frost summarized it quite nicely in how she talked about that both teams are going to be looking to secure the last few outer towers. The thing is, Fnatic dropped the ball in terms of their lane assignments as they sent both Reckless and Hylissang bot, which means that G2 had a numbers advantage mid, and 2 people were bot, and they couldn't stop the minion wave from securing the objective, which means that G2 immediately gain a tower advantage, extend their goal lead even further, and are actually better set up for the Drake that will be spawning in the next minute.
I mean, that just feels like a pretty big oopsie right there from Fnatic, like you said, on the lane assignment. We'll see if G2 are able to capitalize it in the setup for the Cloud Drake. It's not the most important one, but they could use it as a means to draw Fnatic's attention if G2 are feeling themselves for a fight.
At the moment, it's Fnatic who are in the river getting that control. They clear out a control ward. Nemesis is pushing in the bottom lane. That's how it already fell by Fnatic earlier on.
Looks like that Wonder may even be working towards a Wit end next, stacking up that magic resistance against the two AP-heavy solo laners that are coming out from Fnatic so that he can always have an advantage in the 1v1. I would love to see Wonder versus Nemesis in a side lane because I think Akali versus Aurelia can always be quite an exciting skill matchup, and depending on how it plays out, either one can come out ahead. But for now, both teams setting up around the Drake. You can see Wonder staying in the top lane. He is playing very similar to what Bwipo wanted to do last game, generate pressure, draw members, because Bwipo in the 1v1 can't hold him, especially at this point. So now that they see Brox atop, this should give them easy access to get prio mid, and then set up to secure the Drake.
But it is fine for Fnatic to feel like they can commit more members to deal with Wonder here, because even if you lose priority over the Drake, again, it's a Cloud Drake. It's not the end of the world, which is why you'll see Brox are confident and comfortable to make that type of play if they are trading Wonder's life, Wonder's flash for Cloud.
There was also a brief period of time before the Drake even spawned, so G2 couldn't actually start it, and I think that we saw Perkz wanting to reset. Notice that he's completed the rapid fire now, whereas Reckless is actually sitting on 1,700 gold, which means that G2 just have more available gold to them, and they're just much stronger right now. So Fnatic should avoid a fight until they can reset.
Well, G2 realize that they're going straight towards the Dragon. Fnatic say, okay, it's only a Cloud. We don't have to fight over this. They will back away, but Wonder tore it up. Hylissang flashing in. Now Wonder has a flash of his own, but look at how much damage he's already taken.
Wait.
Oh no, Reckless jumped away from him! What? Wonder escapes! A massive misplay from Reckless!
I can't believe Wonder actually survived that fight. Now Jankos goes in.
Jankos jumps straight in, and Perkz can just open up the Spirit's Refuge, won't save Reckless for long. He pays for his mistake with his life, and now Wonder's trading onto Box on the top side of it. They kick away with the Dragon's Raid, but G2 see their opportunity to strike. TP coming in by Couch as G2 look for a flank position. Now Boxer can just jump across the wall. Hylissang's here to help him out. Boxer jumps away, but Couch chases him down, and G2 find 2 quick kills.
And the Baron spawns in 5 seconds. No teleport available on Reckless. Brox is dead. G2 are going to convert this kill into a 20-minute Baron.
Nemesis, Bwipo, and Hylissang, this is your time to shine. G2 back away because Nemesis, still alive, could have done immense work in that fight.
And likewise, they don't have priority in the mid lane. You see that Nemesis now wanders over, pushes down that tower, and gives Fnatic a lot of space where they can start to clear out some of G2's control, place all of that vision around the Baron. So we should start to see things slow down a little bit here, but what a series of very unfortunate events.
You can see on the minimap that he does not have priority over mid lane. So this is a bad path taken from Wonder, but then he jumps onto the Shen and onto Tristana, and it's just 2 ships passing on the night as they're able to walk past each other, and Wonder's able to jump away to safety. He almost kills Broxer as well as he lifesteals off the Raptors, and then this results in another pick going in favor of G2.
But this is kind of the nature of G2's playstyle. It demands such a high level of mechanical excellence. The fact that Wonder gets out of that he crazily turns into these picks, that Caps is flashing over walls and it almost transitions into a Baron. Everything needs to be online for G2 to be successful, and we're finally starting to see these players wake up. I don't know why they can't get up early for series, but in the back half, they tend to be more lively.
Oh, it's just incredible to watch 2 organizations steeped with such history, but 10 players who have just looked incredible throughout the entire split. Both teams have made a huge amount of finals. Now, I just want to say the splits and finals don't count this, do count this split.
Yep.
The titles do not. G2 chasing down that 7 title record that Fnatic holds. Fnatic looking to do one better with 8. Now the fight might begin again as Mickey misses the death sentence, but Bwipo's knocked back. Wonder kicked away, but Perkz is on a killing spree, and now Reckless has to flash away. G2 find another pick, and that Baron is very much alive.
I think it's very dangerous to just start the Baron, though. G2 have a lot of squishy members, so their focus should be on securing these tier 2 towers. I don't think Reckless and Hylissang have the strength to be able to stop this, and notice how they're zoning Brox and Nemesis away.
I mean, you say they, but Wonder is an absolute monster this game. It's not necessarily reflected in his scoreline, but he is very difficult to work with, despite the fact that it was a reckless misplay that allowed him to escape. He jumps on top of people, pops their health bar, and then zones Fnatic away from that tower.
And again, something that we talked about before we got even into the draft is think about what happens when Wonder's on a carry versus when Bwipo is on a carry. And you can see that when Bwipo has the advantageous matchup, he influences the map so much more. But when Wonder can get that winning matchup, the impact and the difference that his performance showcases is huge for G2.
There was conversation yesterday that Officio talked on the desk, Yamato also bringing it up, that Karma, while it worked really well for Fnatic against Schalke, it doesn't mean the same thing against a team like G2. I think you need to give Whippo some teeth to bite back in these matchups. You need to go blow for blow with G2 if you're going to be successful.
G2 currently with a 4,000 gold lead, 23 minutes in. 2 items complete on Caps. He's 5-1-2. We were wondering when he would show up. Well, it seems
look
like
at the bot lane, look at the bot lane.
Much here. The bot lane is the fight. Whippo and Reckless trying to catch out Wonder. Wonder doing what he can. The Stand United comes out as well. We have to think that's immediately G2 looking towards the Baron. Teleport available for Whippo and Reckless.
They can't actually do it. Brox is actually on the right side of the map. He's making sure that he's covering this Baron. A TP comes out.
Oh, he interrupts it! There! He interrupts it, and now Nemesis goes into the Twilight Shroud. But he's got to put something magical out from this if he's going to escape. Perfect execution away, jumps back to the Shroud. But Perks and Caps are on the chase. Reckless pushing in the bottom lane. Nemesis will fall, but Reckless will get a tower out of it.
I do like the decision here from Fnatic. Rather than TP in to try and save Nemesis, just use the time that G2 is spending on killing Nemesis to secure a bot tower.
That TP has to come out now.
You're doing grub. You can't be doing grub right now. You have to go for the Baron. Hillisang and Whippo trying to catch it out. Broxer is around as well. The hook comes out. Wonder about to come back up, but Hillisang's already been caught. Broxer and Whippo trying to run away from the bottom side of the fight as G2 have disengaged from the Baron. Hillisang will fall quickly, and Whippo will follow shortly after G2 fight.
Here comes the TP!
The TP is Reckless and Broxer run down towards the bottom side of the fight. Wonder on the chase, just needs to take out the jungler, and he can't quite do it. Broxer survives. Jankos doesn't have the ult, but does have the flash. Reckless trying to push him away, and Fnatic have kept their jungler alive.
And they also eat up so much time for G2. The time that it took them to run across the map means that they can't turn on the Baron, so Fnatic managed to stall it out. Instead, it's just the Infernal for the prize.
We can see that Fnatic had to invest 3 people into the bot lane in order to find that kill. But they had the map set up in a way that it would be very difficult for G2 to just rush the Baron down. Reckless was in the bot lane with the teleport to join the fray. You also had, even though Hillisang used his ultimate, there was more of enough opportunity for Fnatic to answer. But then the moment Nemesis dies, G2 is starting this to force Fnatic into a situation where they either fight them in the pit where they can then get the TP, or they find a fight beforehand, which is exactly what they find.
Made the split-second decision, hit the hook, had to land it. It was a nice Mad Life moment, but it didn't mean the Baron for G2.
Even with the teleport coming in by Wonder, Broxer just able to survive. Reckless with a good buster shot, and then Broxer jumping away.
And I like the fact that Jankos held his flash. He did not greed for the kill. He decided this is going to be way more useful later. Imagine in a team fight, if Reckless is in my sights and I can flash, body slam, ulti. That is way more important than finding a kill onto a Lee Sin.
Jankos in a perfect flank position. Perks getting damage down into Hillisang, but it's Reckless they've caught out. He tries to jump away, but Perks splashes forward, and the Stand United won't save you now. Teleport coming in by Whippo, but G2's eyes are set well and truly on the Baron.
Ask for it, and you shall receive, Vedius. You
He
said
doesn't even need the flash!
Jankos needs to find Reckless. He got right into that back line and denied the 80 carry.
G2 looking to take us all the way to 5 games. The last time these 2 teams met in finals, it was a one-way sweep. And Caps is unstoppable. He has shown up. Claps is in the house.
Caps has finally woken up. He's drunk his orange juice, and he is ready to play in the finals. G2 secured the Baron. 15-5 is the kills. G2 have full control. And Medic, as you said, G2 is looking to take us to another Game 5.
7,000 gold ahead. G2 don't even reset. They're looking for these inhibitor towers. Wonder in the top lane. Nemesis trying to find a flank position, maybe catch out Caps or Mickey, but he is the one who has been caught here. G2 going up towards the top lane, 3 men strong.
G2 have that confidence that Yamato want, but they still need to respect Fnatic. They have the core itemization that they need, so if Fnatic could have get a team fight, make space for Reckless. He does damage.
Oh, great flash there from Mickey. He doesn't even run the risk. He takes Caps out to safety as 4 members of Fnatic commit into the mid lane. G2 now pushing his 3 men up to top.
Taunt lands onto Caps. He's going to flash away, but Reckless on the chase. The lantern comes out, and Caps escapes. G2 break open the base. They take the inhibitor, and Fnatic cannot find their connections. The Sonic Wave still doesn't land. Reckless trying to get the damage in, but there's no front line for him to be behind.
G2, they're going to walk away, steal away some of the camps. Fnatic don't want to let them get away so easily. They have no flanking wards, and they will not be able to interrupt any of the backs. G2 still have 2 minutes left on the Baron, and now super minions will start to spawn in the top lane. G2 now only have to play through 2 lanes, which is a much easier situation for them. As long as they can keep Whippo in a side lane, then you know Wonder is always going to have priority.
Wonder finishes up the Trinity Force now. He's going to be incredibly strong. Let's have another look at this fight.
And again, it's how Jankos is able to get into this backline. He sneaks underneath, has his sweeper, finds Reckless immediately, even though they didn't get the hook.
And what I really want to bring attention to is these double control wards behind. Notice how he was able to flank in from behind the rest of the team, set up that sweeper so that he can jump on top of Reckless. That was so important to allow G2 to find this fight, Jankos to find that kill, and G2 to secure the Baron.
And now G2, like you asked, Betty, is setting up for that 2 push. So they've got waves crashing in mid lane and bot lane. The outer tower, obviously easier to secure than trying to march it up mid.
1 minute still left on the Baron, but Fnatic, their resources have to be divided between the 2 lanes. We have Wonder in mid, we have super minions pushing in bot. Fnatic have to find a way to hold the line.
Hylissang cooked back. Mickey has been on point, and Perks goes godlike. Now in a 4v5, Fnatic have to try and defend. Caps jumping in.
He's
trying
got
to
it.
catch out Whippo. Here goes Jankos, and it's a double for Perks. G2 are shredding Fnatic. They have to run back to the fountain, and G2 will open up this inhibitor tower and maybe even look for the win.
G2 looks so dominant in game 4. They have been able to cleanly bounce back. Fnatic, they were at match point. They've been in this situation, but G2 every time say that 2-1, this is their power spike. This is their comfort zone. Medic, we are going to game 5.
Perks chasing Nemesis away. The second Nexus tower will fall, and G2 will take us to game 5.
2015, Fnatic versus Origin. That is constantly what's said to be the best European best of 5. Welcome to the future. 2019 summer, heading into Worlds, looking at a European hosted World, and we got game 5.
That was the last time we got game 5 in a finals, and it feels like serendipity. It feels like symmetry. The 2 best teams in Europe once again fighting to an inch of their lives for that title.